Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for hanging with me on this Saturday. And if you went out of your way to like, comment, or subscribe, thank you. All right, so I've got a couple different categories of top waters, and I think it's important to know which ones to throw in what situation. So I will put your big plugs, like a whopper plopper or a super spook, big walking baits, make a lot of noise, very disturbing. These baits are going to be used in high percentage areas. Now, that could be a pocket, that could be a big grass bed, but typically these are not baits that I like to search with. Now, if you're fishing a highland reservoir and you're covering miles and miles of bank, you're going to go to areas where you know you typically could get bit. So those are still high percentage areas, but those are going to work. You're going to spend a lot of time not getting bit, but as long as you're fishing points and places where the bass do want to be, you're still putting that bait in front of high percentage areas. So it can work. You want clouds, you want wind, you want a pressure that is dropping. Very important for these baits, but a grass bed, barometric pressure dropping, fish are going to scatter and they're going to bite, and that's one of the best times. And this is the bait that I'm going to throw. This kind of has the same impact that a jig does, where if I get less bites on this than any other topwater, it still may be a better outcome because the quality is so much better. So I like pockets. I like small areas where any cast could be a fish, and this bait works really well in the fall. Any type of lake, could be the fall, could be a specific lake where bass, the bigger bass, like to get on bigger forage. This is a no-brainer. So a spook or a whopper plopper. It's also a great bait in the post spawn. So if you have fish that are kind of leaving an area, it's one of those deals where you can get them to bite. But it's not a bait that I'm going to run down the bank with in the post spawn. A big topwater walking bait, you're going to waste a lot of time and you may fish it all day and not get bit. So in the post spawn, for me, it's got to be in a very condensed area where you just know any cast could be a bite. Now, if I am going to cover water, this is where I like your poppers, your prop baits. I think this is a much better option. You need clues, you need bites, and this bait is going to get you a lot more bites than a plopper or a walking bait. So I like this, a popper. Even if I am in a good area, this is one of those deals where you're just going to get more bites. Now, you're going to get bigger bites on this, but there are days when they won't bite this and they will bite this, and you may catch 20 on a bait like this. So if I have my way, the fishing's really good, I'm going to go to this, but typically that's not the case. You got to downsize, and this or a popper, I always feel like is going to be your best bet at getting bites when you're in a high percentage area. And you can cover water with this bait too. So this is kind of a hybrid of both you're covering water baits and your baits that you're just going to fish slow in one area. So if you have brim spawning, bass spawning, or you just have a really good area and maybe the fishing conditions aren't the best, a bait like this or a popper will get bites on days when nothing else will. Now, the last but not least is your buzz baits. These are very versatile baits. You can put a horny toad on it, skip it underneath the dock. It works really well when you have grass that may not be submerged underneath the surface, may just be all over the place. This is a much more weedless version, obviously, than your plopper baits that have treble hooks. But this bait does a lot. Low-hanging trees. You can almost put this bait in all the places that you would put a frog, and you can fish it all months of the year. Once that water gets like in the mid-50s, they will bite this in the pre-spawn, spawn, post-spawn, summer, fall. I've had some of my best days on this bait in the weirdest times. So once that water gets above 50 degrees, they will bite this, and you can really lock this in your hand and cover water. You don't need clouds. You can catch this on bluebird sunny days, as long as, you know, you're fishing around some type of cover. But a buzz bait, they make them in all different sizes. I like from the 1/8 ounce to the 1/2 ounce, big blades, small blades, whatever it may be. But a buzz bait is one of the most versatile topwaters, and for that reason, you can get a lot of bites in situations when you can't, and you know, with other topwaters. So those are how I like to go about my topwaters. Big on days when you have clouds and wind, and the bite window has really opened up. I like those big ploppers, those big spooks, and then sunny days, days where you may have fish that are kind of finicky or real specific on what they're biting, you go with your poppers and your prop baits. And then on days where you need to cover water, a buzz bait is my favorite. And there's a lot of other situations. You can skip it. You can do so many things with a buzz bait, and it catches fish of all sizes. So depending on where you live, get the right size buzz bait, give that a shot, reel it on top. It's an awesome topwater. So those are how I set up my topwaters this time of year. Good luck to you guys, and I'll see you on the water.